Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of American Heroes Outdoors.
Headed back to western North Dakota, to Bismarck for the Canine Iron Dog competition with American Heroes Outdoors' good friend Lyle Sinclair of the Bismarck PD. Looking forward to it. Should be an awesome show. A little bit outside our wheelhouse, but great stories with great people serving our communities.
So stay tuned.
American Heroes Outdoors shares the stories of our nation's true heroes, a documentation of journey, commitment, struggle, and healing. A glimpse into the sacrifice and bravery of our service men and women. This is American Heroes Outdoors.
The Iron Dog competition is an annual event that takes days, weeks, and even years of training to prepare for. This process ultimately equips our nation's finest with the necessary skills to be the best in real-world situations.
Growing up, I was always around dogs, and when I started at the police department, I always wanted to be a canine because you can see the effort you put into your product there. You can see your partner get a lot better as you get better. It's fun using a dog to find narcotics or finding a bad guy, making the city safe. You see your hard work and dedication pay off with the work you put into your canine team.
There you go. Yep.
So then I graduated after that and started becoming a trainer, and my dog retired, and I get to watch these young guys get better and better, and I know I have a direct hand in that.
You know, coming in, I wasn't really expecting to, possibly be a canine handler. I grew up with hunting dogs my whole life, and having Lyle Sinclair, our sergeant, as a canine trainer and instructor, and my lieutenant, who was a current handler at the time, I got to speak with them a lot, and talking to them, they just drew my interest to that area, and kind of that's where I wanted to go.
Got an intersection here.
I started with the canine unit pretty early on when I transferred over to Bismarck. I was decoying from about 2013 to 2015 when I got selected to be a handler, and I've been a handler ever since. You have to match the dog's energy with your own. That's hard to do, and then they constantly want to work, and if you don't do anything, they kind of level out, and you want to push those dogs to be as good as they can be. And to do that, you got to be willing to put in that time and effort yourself. So I get asked a lot what we look for when we choose our police dogs. Does it have to be a male or a female? And the answer is no. We look for stuff you can't train. We look for a dog that's super hyper, has the ability to handle stress of police work, has a desire to work, and is just a great dog. We don't look for looks, we don't look for size or gender. We just go in and select the best dog for the handler that we want.
So when I first started, Lyle actually went to Shallow Creek Kennels in Pennsylvania and selected Mesa for me. You know, when he's trying to select the dogs, he's looking for the temperament of the dog that would match the handler. And I can say that he obviously matched us pretty well. Mesa's a great dog. You know, I've been a handler for 4 years with her, and we actually were on America's Top Dog on A&E in the summer of 19. We got to go out to California and shoot for that show. That was a great experience, flying out to California with the dog and being able to compete on national television.
12 o'clock to 3 o'clock is mine. Here. You're wide open to the left. You think 12 o'clock?
Same thing with our handlers. We look for stuff you can't teach. You have to have at least 2 years on in Bismarck, and what we look for is officers that are self-starting, go-getters, can handle feedback, are willing to put in the effort, not just to get a paycheck, but want to be better, that are constantly looking for feedback from the supervisors, their peers. What can I do better? How can I do this? How can I do that? I want to get involved. I want to get involved. That's the kind of handlers we want because it's a lot of work to be a handler.
We're sharing more stories on our social media pages, Shields Hometown Heroes, Sunday Service Spotlight, and more. Help us share more stories of our servicemen and women.
So we came out to Buckstop Junction. This is probably the 10th time we've been out here training. And what we like is this simulates an urban environment. We're house to house with grass in between, where it's nice that we can, clear blind corners, where we can use our dog, read the proximity alert from the dog and other reactions from the dog, without having to worry about the general public being around, people walking their dogs, and everything else. We're nice and private. We can make mistakes. We can shoot off blanks if needed. And it just makes it very realistic for us. Ryan Sumner, who's with Lenexa PD, is our regional director for the National Police Canine Association. What's nice with working with him is he brings other instructors in that have the same thought process as him. They're not clones of him, and every instructor that we bring in always says this is a way, not the way. And that's the way we train in Bismarck. That's how we train other guys.
One of the goals here this week is to not only challenge the dog, but challenge the handlers and give the handler scenarios, real life scenarios that have happened to officers across the country. And I want to make the handler think while he's tracking with the dog. So I laid a track of a suspect that escaped from officers, battered officers, broke into a home, and I put several articles on the track, and the articles were handcuffs, his t-shirt hanging in a tree, and I want to make sure that while the dog's tracking, if the suspect drops anything, that the dog will alert to it and let us know that, hey, here's the handcuffs, we're on the track, there's a t-shirt, we're getting close, and then work up to a proximity alert where the dog's saying, hey, we're getting close, so that the canine handler can say, hey, backing officers, we're getting real close, get your head on a swivel, be ready.
That guy hiding, put your hands up, he's right around the corner. Right around the corner, put your hands up. Hands up, he's walking away, He's around the corner again.
Walking away, let's fight again. I'm gonna send him. If he has limit, call him back first.
That guy come out, put your hands up, Hands up, I can't see his hands. He's walking away again.
Throw your hands, I'm gonna send the dog.
He's walking away again.
Training never ends, and I have a veteran dog. She's going to be 8 years old. There's no way I can learn it all. You always learn something different, especially with all these trainers we bring in, and we're so open-minded at the Bismarck Police Department Canine Unit that no one way is the right way. We'll try just about everything, and that really keeps the dogs fresh. It challenges the dogs, and you figure out kind of what works for you and your dog, and then also what works for your canine unit.
I'm actually a canine trainer back in the Kansas City area with our training group. We have about 8 or 9 dogs that consistently come up to training. We mostly train for police tactics, small movement tactics, and anything to do with the SWAT team, where the canines can be a better assistance as a tool, non-lethal tool. But we got invited to come up here to help these guys out, and I'm really impressed with the team so far.
Oh, whoa, whoa, don't go out there. Arrest procedures.
Put your hands up.
Everyone made a mistake at least once during this training, and that way people, when they make mistakes, are like, oh, I'm not the only one making mistakes. So that's really nice for the young guys to see that too. Even the old guys do something and they're at the end and go, God, why did I do that? So it helps the young guys' confidence that they're not the only ones making mistakes, and that's very important with canine, having your confidence and making you safer, making your backup safer, making the community safer.
We try to make as much conflict for the dog to sort through. That specific scenario you start in a valley where the airflow can be very different and kind of can sometimes confuse the dog. The air will actually pool up, and the way I designed it was kind of with the way that the air was flowing, to where as soon as they rounded that corner, the dog just got kind of a general rush of that human odor in his face. At that point in time, the dog kind of starts making minimal changes to where he throws his nose in the air or does some sort of body posture. So what we're trying to get the handlers to do is to verbalize what we call those proximity alerts to his backing officers, so they can assist him with being safer or defend him should it be a lethal scenario or any kind of scenario for that matter. If you continue to work from there, the canine goes downhill and actually comes to an intersection, which those can be dangerous because there's not a lot of cover and you're kind of out in the wide open, so the handler can be left out to dry, as we say. So that offered just kind of another twist for the handlers to figure out and the cover officers to figure out how to safely cross that. From there, we had a decoy that had an arm sleeve that the canine can safely bite, nobody gets hurt, concealed in some pretty thick grass. Canine follows the guy's footprints and goes in for the apprehension, and then we move in and safely take the guy into custody.
Now it's kind of nice where the guys can come out and see and get real-time feedback from not only me, but other handlers in the state, other trainers around the country. It's also a great networking for the handlers, so if they have problems or they can make their own training groups, or like, hey, I want to work on this with my dog, they have guys they can use to work with their dog and give real-time feedback. They all have the same goal in mind, making you a better team, making you safer doing your job, making sure that you're reducing risk to the public and yourself. So that's the best thing about National Police Canine Association, is they can bring instructors in that they've already tested, gone through, used, and know they're going to be good instructors, so my guys aren't wasting 2 days and a bunch of money on training that's not worth going to.
American Heroes Outdoors is brought to you by Shields, the Disabled American Veterans, Smoky Hills Outdoor Store, Skeeter Boats, and Yamaha Outboards, Woodland Resort, Ottertail Lakes Country, Ice Castle Fish Houses, S&S Promotional Group, Devil's Lake Tourism, and Minnesota Truck Headquarters.
Morning, we're down here at Holland Field in Bismarck, North Dakota for our 5th annual Iron Dog competition, which is our end of our seminar. It's a chance for the guys to come show off what they learned this week, have some bragging rights around the state, let off some steam, and just have some fun. Plus, it's nice to have the public come out and support us, cheer on the dogs that they like, and see what all our hard work is about, and thank our sponsors for helping us make this event happen.
Dunn County Sheriff's Office, come on down, I'll send the dog and you will get bit. Get out of here!
So typically on competition day, the handlers do not get to know what the course is till just before they bring their dogs out. Their supervisors don't know what the course is. The only 2 people that know the layout of the course is the 2 judges for the competition. So last night until about 1:30 in the morning, we spent kind of putting our heads together and coming up with a course that's going to challenge the handlers and the dogs. With the course, there's a point system to every stage of the course. It's not easy. It's very difficult, a lot of obedience, but they're gonna go through a serpentine course. They're scored on that. They're gonna go through a tunnel. They're scored on that. When the dog comes through the tunnel, it has to down in a very tight space. They're also scored on that. Might sound funny, but they're gonna be throwing 2x4s into a barrel from a distance while their dog is down off leash in another circle to see if the dog will stay in that circle while they're tossing items. For fun, we made it that they're scored on if the 2x4 goes inside the barrel. If they miss the barrel, it's a point off. After that, they go to a circle where there's going to be a decoy, a guy in a bite suit, out of sight. The decoy is going to step out, fire blank rounds at the handler. The handler is then going to send his dog on the bite. The decoy is going to go around so the handler can't see the decoy or the dog, and he's going to have to make his dog release the bite out of sight and back to him to the circle that he's standing in. He can't leave that circle. That dog's got to come all the way back to that circle. After that, the dogs and the handler are going to move to the recall. The recall are these lines which are going to be out in that outfield. If they recall them at the first line, it's only 5 points, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. There is a decoy standing right here. So it gets harder as the dog gets closer to the bite suit. If they can recall their dog at the very last line, that's 30 points, and then they're done, next dog.
Here!
First place with 89 points. And the way that we do this is, you've probably seen our cell phones out. The tiebreaker is who gets done with the course the fastest. And that is Sal with Bismarck PD and Vala.
Thank you. Thanks.
The time difference was 30 seconds. And I was going to dock him 10 points because remember he had to run from one, which means we had to run with him. And I was like, you're making me run. That's negative 10 points.
Who knew time was going to be a factor? All the dogs did good. It was fun. This is our favorite part of the year, doing stuff like this. And she did well. Very happy.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show.
And now it's time for our next Shields hometown hero, Larry Mann.
The river, what we're hearing right now, they don't even know it. And they're different when they put in and when they take out. This gets them.
Welcome to Shields Hometown Heroes.
Shields Hometown Heroes is a way for us to say thanks
to those that serve our country and our community
and are still giving back to others today.
We honor your service by sharing your stories.
From all of us at Shields, thank you for your service.
Hi, I'm Jeff Torno from Shields here in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. We're excited to partner with American Heroes to announce our next hometown hero. It's Larry Mann from Hayward, Wisconsin, an avid fly fisherman who works with vets to get them out in the field and a Vietnam vet himself. Congratulations, Larry, on being our next Shields hometown hero.
Well, I called my draft board and sent them a letter and volunteered for the draft and said, I'm your guy, here we go. I've maintained that Vietnam was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because nothing that bad was ever going to happen again to me. When I was a kid, I grew up in Kansas. You know, the fly fishing capital of the world, right? A friend took me, asked if I wanted to go fly fishing for trout. And up in the mountains, I said, yep. And somehow I put equipment together and did it. It was like, this is it. This is a missing link for me. This is what I've been missing. So it was, from that point on, it was fly fishing, period.
He's just such an amazing teacher, and he's stuffed full of knowledge.
Met Wendy, and we thought we were at pretty much the top of the food chain. We were in Colorado guiding people for trout. That's about as good as it gets, and so we thought.
When we we first started doing this and we came back after my dad had died, back in the late 90s, we brought our drift boat, and you wouldn't see a drift boat on the river anywhere. There were actually not many fishermen on the river. There were some conventional guys that they knew where to find the walleye and whatnot, but for the most part, there weren't fishermen out here.
We kind of looked around when we got here and I was like, nobody's doing this. There are no fly shops. And we looked at the resource and it's like, oh my God, this is the most amazing resource of anywhere in the country.
Slowly it became apparent that somebody needs to do this. There were a lot of doubters. I mean, people like, they're nuts, what are they thinking? I know of all the trips we ever do, the veteran trips are the most important to him. And I can say that for our guides too.
That's what makes dealing with veterans all the more meaningful. Not that they can relate totally with me in Vietnam in 1969 or me with them in Iraq in 1992, but somebody was shooting at us and they didn't like us, and we get it. And so there's some common threads there.
I have just always been amazed at the selflessness, and then you see the damage it does, and to be able to help at all, to share something like this, it's an honor.
What another end to a great event. To see those canine dogs working and learn what they go through and the things that they can learn and the amount of time that the trainers put in with those dogs is truly professional, and it's great to know that they're on our streets protecting our communities every day.
Absolutely. Thank you for your service, guys. And stay tuned for next week because we're going to tell you all about the United Heroes League. We're going to open up that aperture again and show you all of the great things that the United Heroes League is doing in the state of Minnesota. So stay tuned.
Interested in supporting our mission at American Heroes Outdoors? Go to AmericanHeroesOutdoors.com to nominate your very own hero or drop a donation to support our nation's true heroes.